everyone, welcome to The Nerd Tea. I'm here with Sarah A. Parker. Welcome to another behind the scenes of The Nerd Tea. I'm actually thinking of starting to call these the Nerd Tea Diaries, because that's kind of what it feels like to me, almost like a diary here. The Nerd Tea Diaries. Anyway, I just finished my interview, which I think will probably be the last interview for what I am thinking of making season 1, which is just essentially the interviews I've done in 2024. By the time that I release this one and the other that I have not released yet, it will be December. Whatever I do next will have to be released in 2025. So I'm thinking that I'm going to do this as like season 1. Not the last that will be released for season 1, just that I do that will go out for season 1. But who did I interview? Of course, I haven't even said that. I just finished my interview with Sarah A. Parker. She wrote When the Moon Hatched. It's a romantasy. It's very high fantasy. Very, very high fantasy. The world building is very extensive. I mean, she came up with a cardboard type game and everything. Came up with languages. So it's very extensive fantasy and there is romance in it. I originally read the indie version that was published out because I heard of her when this book first came out a while ago. I had it in my TBR for quite some time and I did finally get to read it when I reached out to her. I had only read her indie version and it just so happened that it was about to be re-released. So this is the traditionally published version of her books, and then there's obviously the other ones which are her indie versions. I don't know, I should have probably asked if there was a lot of changes from the indie version. I thought there'd be a lot of changes. It'd probably be minor tweaks, if any. I'm not sure. I actually met Sarah a couple of days ago at an event that she went to, a book signing event at a bookstore that was actually hosted by another author called Rebecca Ross, whom did agree to come to my show at some point. She let me know how to get in touch with her agent, so we shall see if that happens. But anyway, Rebecca Ross, she wrote Divine Rivals, which is another romantasy, and she was the one asking Sarah all these questions, and it was such a fun event. In order to get into the event, you had to buy the book, which was great because I did not own it physically and I loved it. So I was like, yeah, sure, let's of course buy the book. So we went in and it was this whole chat. Like I said, Rebecca asked Sarah all these questions and I already had an idea of the kind of questions that I wanted to ask Sarah, but this kind of solidified what I thought a general audience who maybe wouldn't have the chance to hear her speak would want to hear from her. So I went home and I tweaked some questions. I was supposed to interview her the next day, but her schedule got moved around because there was a hurricane recently. It's 3 days later. So it just happened. And can I just say that she is like literally so sweet. The event was pretty long. I think the chat might have been like 40 minutes to an hour. And then they like sold 200 copies of her book in this bookstore. And they had to call us up by group. So like I actually, oh yeah, here it is. Hold on. So this is what I was given. I was group G. Wait. It was group G, and they were calling us group by group. When it was finally my turn, and it took a while, right? I was sitting there for a good while before my group was finally called up, and it wasn't even, I was like in the middle. That's how many people were there, and I realized why it had taken so long. She took her time properly chatting with everyone. Like, she gave everyone a hug if they were okay with being touched. She posed for pictures with everyone, and then she answered everyone's questions. Like, I think it's so wonderful that she took the time, that you could tell she was really enjoying herself, and everyone was really enjoying feeling like seen and appreciated for being there. And I think it was absolutely lovely. I'll show you how she signed my book. She also did little decorations, and I know that mine wasn't the only one. But like, look how she completely signs. She put little hearts and everything. Like, yeah, just really like personalize it. Like, she didn't just sign whatever. I believe it was her husband who was sitting next to her who was doing this stamp, because there's like a stamp there. And then when it was your turn, she would grab your book and then she would start personalizing it and chatting with you and taking pictures and stuff like that. And so it was absolutely lovely. And so I knew chatting with her was gonna be a great time, because she was so sweet. Normally when I schedule out an author, I schedule them for an hour and a half. And the reason for that is because I like to take the time beforehand to test everything, and I like to make sure that afterward I give them some important information. And then I would like to make sure that we have at least an hour, as you guys know at this point, probably more than an hour to chat, because her schedule got moved around. Despite the fact that it was originally scheduled for an hour and a half, now I only had an hour with her. So I had an hour with her to do everything. We actually went over by like about, I want to say it was like maybe 6-7 minutes, but she had something. So I was rushing. I was so stressed out, guys. I was so stressed. If you have heard any of my interviews before, you know that I do not know how to keep them concise. It's something that I talked about a lot with like everybody else that I have done, how I'm like, I don't know how to keep this concise. Well, I learned. I learned. Apparently, all it took was for her to be like, I have something right after you. And I'm like, oh, I want all my questions. She was extremely sweet though. She did say that if we didn't get to finish everything, that she was happy to try to schedule something next week to hop back on and finish if that's what was needed. But I didn't want to do that to her time. She was so busy. And the worst part is I have to listen to it. I am terrified to listen to it. It's being processed right now, so I haven't heard it. But I was having technical difficulties. Several times we had to pause because she was hearing me choppy, and I'm like, oh my God. But she was super, she was amazing. She was fantastic. And the fact that she even offered to come back if I needed to, which is probably what made me work harder to be like, no, she won't have to. I want her back for whenever she does like her next book. So let's make a good impression with her and her publishers. Oh wait, before we move on, I want to tell you a little bit more about the book signing. Somebody was passing out friendship bracelets. Khan is the love interest of the book, the main love interest. So the process of getting to chat with her was quite interesting. Don't abuse this information, by the way, but usually authors will have a way to find who their publishers or their agents or something are. I sent out a message originally and I got no answer at first. I did find out that her book was being re-released and traditionally published. I was like, I think she's on tour. She's probably very busy. This is probably not the best time to reach out to her. I'll reach out to her after tour or towards the end of tour, maybe when she's like winding down. But then I found out that she was going to go to an event in the state that I live in. And so I tried my luck again. I've never been able to do them in person, and I didn't get to do this one in person either, but I was like, I don't know how long she's here. Maybe I could do this in person. So I reached out again. Luckily I can't remember who it was that I had messaged with her. It was like her agent, probably manager or something. They actually did answer this time. And they put me together with the rest of her team who was handling her tour, because obviously, again, she is on tour. She's extremely busy. She was telling me, she's like, I have this other interview right afterward, and then I have a flight tonight to the UK. And I'm like, oh my God. Her team asked if I could be able to do the interview or release it in October. We're in October currently, because they wanted it to line up with the release of her book. I had always emailed with the authors directly. This is the first time that I didn't actually email with her directly. I emailed with her team, which was very nerve-wracking but very exciting. It made me feel kind of like, oh yes, let me speak to your team, like how professional. I don't know, it made me feel like it was fun. Nerve-wracking but fun. So yeah, so that was kind of like an interesting thing about chatting with her. Actual chatting with her again was quick. I had never done an interview that was an hour. This is less than an hour. I'm looking at the time right now. The interview was 55 minutes, and that included the like 3 times that we had to pause because she couldn't hear me, because I don't know what was going on today. I don't know if it was my signal or what it was. I had to make sure to fix that. But yeah, so even with the technical difficulties, it was still 55 minutes, which is crazy. Prior to that, the interview that I had done the quickest was still like an hour and like 20. So crazy. Now I see what it takes to do it in such a short time for me, which is kind of move on pretty quickly. This was a quick conversation. There wasn't a lot of pause. Again, technical difficulties aside, there wasn't a lot of pause between questions. I didn't have time for, like, I was like, nope. There was maybe like less than a handful of instances where she said something and I kind of deviated and asked her a question that I came up with later on, which is what usually makes it long. What happens is that I have all these questions and they'll say something and I'm like, wait, what about that? That didn't happen very much in this one because I was like, I don't have time for that. I need to move on. I can't wait for you guys to see it. Oh, for the first time I did something. I went to her Facebook fan page. I was like, hey, I'm going to chat with her. I have a chance to chat with her and I would love to feature some of your questions. And I got like a good amount of responses. I think I got like 5 responses on that, and some of them had several questions and I was able to ask. I would love to be able to do that within my group. I don't know if you guys know already, but I have Discord, and I would love to be able to do that then, but I still need to get more people who are following me specifically because of these interviews. Most of my followers are for my skits, which I love, of course, but I would love for there to be a good amount for both. Because of that, I went straight to her fan pages, so that was great. I was able to feature fan questions, and that was, I don't know, super exciting. I hope that I can able to like keep featuring fan questions. I think that makes it kind of fun, and kind of like I'm bringing you guys into the interview, because again, these are pre-recorded, and so this is like a fun way to kind of bring everyone in. Obviously, like always, I did dress up for the interview because of course I wore this kind of silvery corset because I felt it kind of matched the vibe of the book. I put my eyeshadow. I had little blues and silvers in my eyeshadow. You can't really see it during the interview, but I felt good about it. I have like dragon ear cuffs, and I did hopefully kind of turn my head at some point. You can kind of see the ear cuff. I also have a dragon claw. You definitely couldn't see that during the interview, but I knew it was there. I also wore it to her book signing, and I kept getting compliments from it, so I just felt like, you know, let me wear it again. And then of course my rings matched up a little bit. This like a little moon. This just felt like a little crystal. Part of the magic in her book is that they wear these beads that kind of indicate which element they can talk to. It's like the elements are sentient, and they're the ones who are kind of give the power type thing. So that's why I wore that crystal. And then another moon right here. And then this just felt like dragon scales. This is also can be mermaid scales, but it kind of felt like dragon scales. Also, don't pay attention to my nail polish. I went to a gothic masquerade fantasy ball yesterday, and I decided right before I needed to leave that I wanted to paint my nails black, and I grabbed it and painted in the car, and it's just a mess. It looks great from like far away. I also had my little witch's brew mug, which I love. I hope that you guys saw this interview. I hope that you guys enjoyed it, and if you haven't yet, I hope that you guys check it out. And that's been another episode of the Nerdy Diaries for Sarah A. Parker's interview. See you in the next page.